the grading system in this course. This course M109 .NET Programming, where you are going to study about C# programming, right? As you can see on the screen, we have the course calendar for the last semester, and hopefully it will be very much similar for this summer semester also. This course calendar shows us what are the topics that we are going to study in every week. Since we are in the summer semester, the course will be every week, weekly. That is on Thursday from 2 to 4, as we are attending today. The course will be on this day 2 to 4 every week. So every week what we have to cover is given in this course calendar. You can take the course calendar inshallah from the LMS. That will be great. I hope you can see the screen, right? You can see the screen?
Yes, we can
see.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Fine. So as you see on the screen, we have the first meeting that talks about Unit 1 and 2, the philosophy of .NET building C# application. Moving ahead, meeting 2, we are going to talk about programming constructs in C#, which is about the basic things that we are going to use inside our C# program. Meeting 3, decision making and looping, where we talk about the if statements, if else, and looping, for, while, loop, and all. Meeting 4, we'll move ahead with the methods and the arrays. Meeting 5, we talk about classes and objects and inheritance. Meeting 6 will be exception handling. So it is up to unit number 9 from your book that we are going to study up to the exception handling. The students, those who have taken the course, Java courses, M105, M251, they find this course more easy because it's almost very much similar there, okay, with a little difference. What you have studied in Java programming in M105, or if you have taken M251, you know about the programming constructs, you know about the variables, you know about the printing statements, you know about the decision making and looping, if else, you know about the methods, you know about the functions, you know about the arrays, you know about the classes and objects, you know about the exception handling. Similar concept is carried here. Do you have any question?
Yes, can I ask about the TMA and quizzes?
Yeah, I'll come to that, but I see some student has unmuted itself. I think Noora. See, I request you all to please keep yourself muted. Please make sure that you are muted unless you have any question, right? Unless you have any question, please keep yourself muted. That will be great. That will help us all to concentrate on the discussion, okay? So make sure that you are muted, and you can unmute and ask the question in between any time during the discussion. You are most welcome to ask any question during the discussion, okay? But if you don't have any question, make sure that you are muted so that it will not disturb others in the class, okay? I hope you follow this. Fine. So I was telling about the students who have taken the course like M105 and M251 programming courses, or if you have studied Java before, then this course will be kind of easy for you to understand and to complete the course and to score good grades in it, okay? If someone has not taken the programming, that's still okay, but need to give some time to the course, okay? some extra time to the course to learn the programming. Learning programming is by practice, right? Learning programming is by practice. So you have to give some extra time for that. In general, talking in general, it's not related to the course. In general, I request everyone, every student, to make your plan, a steady plan for the semester, for the whole semester. You might have taken 2 courses, you might have taken 3 courses. What are the number of courses you have taken? Please make your plan, weekly plan, that how much time you are going to spend on studies weekly, apart from the lectures, apart from the classes. You know that you have a class 2 hours weekly, or two classes in a week if it is 8 credit hours. But apart from that, you plan and put a clear plan for yourself, that how much time you are going to spend on the studies on a particular course. So for example, for M109, if you are a beginner in the programming, you have to give at least weekly 3 hours to study the course, at least 3 hours if you are a beginner. If you have taken the programming before, you can give like 1.5 hour or maximum of 2 hours to study the course M109. Similarly, you have other courses, you can decide like how much time you have to give for the courses. This plan will help you to acquire the knowledge of the course, to understand the things, and also help you in solving your assessments, the TMAs, the quizzes, the final exams. Okay, so that will be great for you. Fine. So this is some information about the courses. Coming to the assessments, you'll be having one TMA, which is for 20%, and as of like other semesters and other courses, you have the 20%, right, for the TMA, right? And let me share you some documents here. Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, fine, you'll be having 20% of the TMA, which is for 20 marks. There is no MTA. Instead, you will be having the online activities, which are the quizzes, right? Online activities, which are the quizzes for 30 marks. And the final exam you'll have for 50%. Final exam will be the take-home exam, as you have taken in the last semester. Okay, take-home exam. So this is the assessments like you'll have in this semester for this course, which is TMA 20%, 20 marks, the quizzes or online activities 30%, and the final exam, take-home exam, for 50%. Okay, so this is what we have. It relates to your assessments. Fine. So this is all about your course information. Before we start with our first chapter or the first meeting discussion,
دكتور how are you دكتور
fine, students. Sorry, there was some technical problem. I'd like to take any questions from your side. If you have any questions regarding the course information.
Doctor,
Yes.
how about the classes?
Sorry?
The practical classes.
As per the course, there is no practical classes given here in the course, but still we can have the practical classes in the class itself, I'll explain you the programs. We'll try to do some programs. For that, you need to be ready with your laptops, with the compiler or the IDE that you're going to use to write the programs, right? So from the next class, if you are ready with your laptops and all, we'll do together the programs at the same time while we were discussing.
ولا بس في حد مكتب خلاص شكلي كله خلاص الله
دكتور
يعطيك العافية.
دكتور, will the lecture be recorded?
Yes, the lectures will be recorded, inshallah, and there are recorded lectures already present in the LMS by different tutors. You can go through the LMS and you will find those recorded lectures. And I'm not gonna also record the lectures. And I'll see, we'll pass this to the BCC, and if it might be available to you on LMS, inshallah, after every class. Any other question?
No, doctor, thanks.
You're welcome, brother. Anyone else? Fine. If no questions, inshallah, we're going to start.
دكتور
هلا نورة.
يعطيك العافية دكتور. الحين ليه ما تعطينا نمبر واتساب عشان نتواصل في الجروب في أشياء مهمة لازم نعرفها، أو إنك تحط ليدر واحدة وتوصل حق الجروب كامل، عشان كذا عشان نعرف ومنها الكل يعرف ويفهم، لأن الإيميل مرة صعب، كل شوي بنرسل كل شوي نرسل، فنبغى واتساب أفضل يفضل يعني.
And you have the groups, right? You communicate
Yes,
with
group.
you
WhatsApp.
communicate with the groups.
Yes,
For
في الجروب
myself,
عندنا واتساب
yes,
عشان
yes.
الأشياء المهمة،
الأشياء المهمة إن شاء الله
عشان الكل نعرف. الإيميل مرة صعب الإيميل، عشان كذا ما نضيع ولا نشيل هم وكذا، فهمت علي؟
Okay, I understand. Let me explain you something.
Thank you.
WhatsApp group is not a formal communication, right? Number one.
يعطي
Number
نمبر
two.
بعدين نسوي سيف بعدين نسوي جروب في كل
Noora,
جروب.
let me speak, please.
هو ما بيعطيك الرقم بالنهاية، ما يبي يعطيك الرقم، هو يبي بس عن طريق الإيميل وخلاص. أي أحد كلنا على الجروب عن طريق الإيميل، ما بيعطيك الرقم.
تمام شكرا.
Mute yourself, please. See, WhatsApp group and all, it's informal communication. You make WhatsApp groups and you discuss the contents, whatever. I have no problem. For my side, I'm very sorry. The university has clear instruction for every tutor to not to share any contact number with the students. So from my side, I cannot give my personal contact number to anyone as a student to contact me. Number one. Number two, the formal communication in the university is by email, by LMS. Okay, we have to use this formal communication. There is no difficulty in using email. You can use the email from your mobile phone. You can access the email from your smartphone. It's very simple and easy. You can put your email with the Google, with the Gmail. It's very simple and easy. You can turn on the notifications for the email. Whenever you receive an email, there will be notification, and you can simply use that email. You want to communicate with me, you can use my email, right? You can send me by email, by LMS, okay? And if someone want to exchange the information through WhatsApp, I'm sharing my information with you, We are, mashallah, more than 90 students in here. And I believe in the WhatsApp group also there is hundreds of students. Any student who get the email can share that information in the groups. No problem. Okay. So from my side, personally, my personal contact number I cannot give you. That is from the university. It is not allowed to share my personal contact number. So our medium of communication will be by email or by LMS. Okay, and there is no problem in accessing the email. It's not difficult. We cannot say accessing email is difficult. It's about C# programming. The first chapter we are going to talk about the philosophy of .NET. We are going to talk about .NET and features of .NET, .NET framework, where we will discuss .NET framework, the features of .NET. We will discuss the building blocks of .NET platform, where we have the common language runtime, common type systems, CLS, common language specification, right? So we're going to discuss the whole .NET framework in brief, what we have in the .NET framework, okay? We're going to talk about the C# programming language, the features of C# programming language, okay? We're going to talk about the assemblies, the intermediate language, Microsoft intermediate language, and how the .NET achieve the portability, okay? So this is what we have in the first chapter, philosophy of .NET. The objectives of this chapter is to understand .NET related topics such as assemblies, common language, common intermediate language, it's called CIL, just-in-time compilation. Just-in-time compilation help us in achieving the portability. We're going to try to understand the relationship between the various aspects of .NET framework such as CLR, Common Language Runtime, Common Type System, and Common Language Specification. We'll also talk about the base class libraries, how the base class libraries help us in programming, and the platform independent nature of .NET platform. Right? The platform independent, which is also a portability, right? If you have taken Java, you have seen that platform independent nature of programming language. Okay, fine. We start with .NET framework. The .NET framework is a software platform for building systems on Windows family of operating system, as well as on numerous other non-Microsoft operating system, whether it is Unix, Linux, or Mac OS, Android, okay, iOS, any operating system. You can design or you can build a system or a program or an application that using the .NET that works or that can be run on any operating system. Okay, this is what achieves the platform independency. Okay, which is also called portability. So that means that if you want to do any program, right, to be work on different platforms, you have a choice of using .NET framework, right? You have a choice of using .NET framework. Features of .NET: interoperability with existing code. Any existing code, that means if there is any application or any software which already exists and written in some language, right? We can interact, the .NET framework, the .NET languages can interact with that code, to enhance the application, to enhance the software, to rewrite the software or redesign the software, right? Number one. Number two, it supports numerous programming languages. It supports C++, it supports JavaScript, C#, ASP.NET. Okay, it supports many different languages, the .NET framework. A common runtime engine is shared by all .NET aware languages. So that means the execution engine is a common engine that support all .NET aware languages like JavaScript, C++, okay, C programming, ASP and all. There is a language integration. You can integrate the languages. Comprehensive base library. The .NET provides you the base library, the basic functions that you can use in developing the application. A simplified deployment model. If you want to deploy your applications, what you develop by using the .NET languages, you can deploy it, and it's very simple to deploy the applications. Moving ahead, building blocks of .NET framework or a .NET platform are listed here. The first is Common Language Runtime, also called CLR in short. The runtime layer of .NET is known as the CLR or Common Language Runtime, where the program, executes, the application executes. A collection of services that are required to execute a given compiled unit of code is from the CLR, is from the Common Language Runtime. It provides you this, the services which are required to execute the compiled unit of code, which is already compiled. The primary role of CLR is to locate, load, and manage the objects of the .NET. That is, when you write a program, it creates an object. Your program is executed as an object. And sometimes in program, we create different objects. Like those who have taken Java programming, they understand this very well, the concept of objects, right? So the objects is an entity that stores some data, that has some data, it has some states, right? So we can write a program that has many different objects, right? So locating these objects, loading the objects, executing them, executing the code is one of the job of the common language runtime in .NET framework or in .NET platform. The CLR also take care of number of low-level details such as memory management, application hosting, coordinating threads. Threads are nothing but pieces of program. For example, you have one complete program. You can make this program in pieces, okay, or parts of the programs, and every part of the program or every piece of the program is called as a thread, okay. Why we make this? Because if we want to run these different parts simultaneously or concurrently, we want to run these different parts, right? So we can divide the whole process or the whole program into pieces or parts of the program, and every program is called as a thread. We have thread concept in Java also. Those who have taken M251, right? You have taken Java threads, right? So we have that thread concepts in Java also. So this job of CLR to coordinate the threads of any program, okay, and also to perform basic security checks for any program. It's a job of CLR. Okay. So these are some of the functions, very important functions of common language runtime. Okay. This is one of the block of the .NET platform. The next block of the .NET platform is the common type system, which is called CTS. Right? The CTS specifies, right, all possible data types and programming constructs supported by the runtime, specifies how these entities can interact with each other and detail how they are represented in .NET format. This is the job of the common type system. It describes you the data types that can be used in programming while programming using .NET platform. by different programmings, like for example, you are using C#, you're using ASP, you're using C++ and all, right? So all their data types are defined in the CTS as or defined, will described by the CTS. Fine. Also, all programming constructs supported by the runtime while executing the program, and specifies how these entities can interact with each other and details how they are represented in the .NET CTS, which is Common Type System. Block is Common Language Specification. Okay, Common Language Specification. So what is the job of CLS is it's a related specification that defines a subset of common types and programming constructs that all .NET programming languages can agree on, right? That also used in the CTS. Okay, so it has to be defined here in the CLS. All the programming constructs that you are going to use in the .NET framework or in a .NET platform, right, while programming. Fine. Then, so these are three blocks we have seen here for .NET platform, which is CLR, Common Language Runtime, and its functions or its features. What CLR does: CTS, Common Type System, and CLS, Common Language Specifications. Moving ahead, we have some class libraries of the .NET platform, which are called the base class libraries. There are different base class libraries that are provided for different functions or different uses. For example, there are base class library for securities. There are base class library for file input output, for threading, for graphical user interface, for database access, right? So there are a lot of libraries available in .NET platform that we can use those libraries to perform some task in our programs, in our applications. For example, if we want to read the data from the file, we want to write the data to the file, these are, can be performed by using the library functions which is available in the .NET platform. Okay, so base class libraries, the .NET platform provide a base class library that is available to all .NET programming languages. The base class library defines types that can be used to build any type of software application. It contains predefined methods, properties to implement common and complex functions like reading and writing to the file, graphic rendering, database interaction, reading the data, writing the data, and so on. Even the securities, the web applications, if you want to develop the web application, communicating with the web APIs, file input, output, and all. So these are all methods and these functions are available in the base class libraries. So there are a lot of base class libraries available in the .NET platform. So you can see in this figure the building blocks of the .NET platform and the base class libraries. Okay, so this together forms the .NET framework or a .NET platform. So we have the base class libraries and we have the blocks of the .NET. We have the CLR, Common Language Runtime. We have the Common Type System, CTS, and Common Language Specification, CLS. And we have the base class libraries. Libraries for database access, libraries for graphical user interface, libraries for security, remoting the APIs, file input output, for threading, and all, right? So we have libraries in the platform. So here, this is all about the .NET platform or .NET framework, right? With this, you have a clear idea about the .NET framework, what are all the building blocks of the .NET framework, as well as the base class libraries of the .NET platform. Okay. Now, moving ahead with the C# programming language that we are gonna study in this course, the C# programming language. Now here we talk about some of the features of C# programming, right? And we talk about some assemblies, the code, which is called the managed code, unmanaged code, okay, the platform independent nature of the .NET, fine. And inshallah, in the next chapter, chapter number 2, that we will take inshallah after we finish this chapter number 1, we're going to start with the C# programming by using Microsoft Visual Studio. Fine. C# programming language, it's a modern general purpose object oriented programming language developed by Microsoft and approved by the ECMA, European Computer Manufacturer Association, and ISO, International Standard Organization. Excuse me. It is developed by Anders Helsberg and his team during the development of .NET framework. It is based on Java and C++. So one has the knowledge of these two languages or any one of these two languages. It's easy for them to learn the C# programming language. Features of C# programming: there is no pointer concepts in C# programming. Pointers concept is defined in C programming, right? You may not have studied that pointers concept. That is used to refer to the memory and to interact with the memory of the computer or the system. So that concept is not included here in C# programming. C# programs typically have no need to direct pointer manipulation. There is an automatic memory management through garbage collection in C# programming. So memory management is done automatically, so you don't need to worry about the memory management, and you don't need to use the pointers there in C# programming. Supports strongly typed queries like LINQ or any other query languages, right, to interact with the database, to interact with the various forms of data. It can be compiled on a variety of computer platforms. Now we have something called managed code and unmanaged code in C#. The code which runs under the CLR, which is Common Language Runtime, is called as managed code. Any code that you can run on the CLR, right, Common Language Runtime, okay, in the .NET platform, we call it that code as a managed code. That means that the .NET can manage the codes, okay, and it is managed environment make it possible to build, deploy, and run the .NET programs on a wide variety of target machines. Right, so it is called as a managed code. And code that cannot be directly hosted by .NET runtime is called unmanaged code. Any code that cannot be hosted on a .NET platform, we call that code as an unmanaged code. Okay, so it comes from any other programming languages which is not supported by the .NET. Fine. So hence that code cannot be executed in the .NET framework or on a .NET platform. We call that code as an unmanaged code. Fine. Moving ahead, additional .NET programming languages, Visual Basic. I think most of you know this Visual Basic. You might have taken in the school. C++, JavaScript, F#, okay, or ASP.NET and all. Fine. Overview of .NET assemblies. Assemblies are fundamental part of programming with .NET framework. It contains code that common language runtime execute. It can be like a dynamic link library, or it can be an executable file, exe file. Assemblies include executable application files, that can directly run from Windows without need for any other program. Assemblies are nothing but the executable programs of the .NET that can be run without need for any other program. Okay, so we can use assemblies in our program, in applications in the .NET framework. Moving ahead, Microsoft Intermediate Language, MSIL, Common Intermediate Language, CIL, and Intermediate Language, IL. Now, these are the concepts that provides the .NET with portability. By this, the .NET achieves the portability, right? The Microsoft Intermediate Language or Common Intermediate Language or Intermediate Language. If you have taken Java, you might have known about the bytecode. Every Java program, what is execute, right, is converted into the bytecode, and this bytecode is not an executable code, right? It's an intermediate code between the source code and the executable code. The source code, what we write the Java program, okay, is the source code, like which is written in English, what we understand. When we compile this source code, this will be converted into the bytecode in Java, right? The bytecode. That bytecode is a form of code that can run on any Java virtual machine, okay, or any platform where there is a Java virtual machine, okay, that will convert that bytecode into the executable code when you run that bytecode, right? So bytecode is an intermediate code. So similarly, in .NET programming languages, we have something called Microsoft Intermediate Language or Common Language, Intermediate Language, or an Intermediate Language. Okay, that will be created when you compile your .NET program. So a .NET programming language does not compile into executable code directly. When you compile it, right, it will not compile into executable code. It will not be converted into executable code. Instead, it compiles into intermediate code called Microsoft Intermediate Language. Each .NET Aware compiler produces nearly identical common intermediate language instruction. Therefore, all languages are able to interact with a well-defined binary base, which is with the intermediate language. During the runtime, when it comes to running the program, right, to check the output or to use that, the CLR, the common language runtimes, just-in-time compiler converts the intermediate language into the machine language, which is then run on the host machine. So by this, it achieves the portability or platform independency. Right? So you see here, the source code, that is your program, is converted into the intermediate language, that is Microsoft Intermediate Language or Common Intermediate, which is then converted into the executable code, machine code, into the machine language, which will be executed on machine, which will be then executed on the machine. Okay, the same concept of Java, where you have the source code, you have the bytecode here, and then you have the executable machine code. Okay. Fine. That's about how the application programs or the programs in .NET executes. Moving ahead, namespace. A namespace is a grouping of semantically related type contained in assembly or possibly spread across multiple related assemblies. We are going to use the namespaces here, which has the assembly or which has the libraries that you can use in your program. Okay. They are C# programming elements designed to help you to organize your program. For example, system is a namespace and console is a class in that namespace. So when you want to use this namespace in your program, we use the keyword called using. So what we write is that we write using system. Okay, then we can use the classes like console, and we can use the methods inside this class like write method, read method, and so on, to write the data on the screen, to read the data from the keyboard and all. Okay, so we're going to use the namespace. The platform independent nature of .NET framework, as I said, it uses the common the intermediate languages there, right, to show the platform independence, right? So .NET applications can be developed and executed on non-Microsoft operating system, which include Microsoft OS, the Mac OS, or the Linux, or Solaris, or iOS, or Android, any operating system. Okay, when Microsoft released C# programming language, the .NET and the .NET platform, it also crafted two set of specification, which is called C# language specification and common language infrastructure. These specification enables third parties to build distribution of .NET platform for any number of operating systems and or processes. Open source .NET distributions. There are projects by .NET which are the open source projects. Fine. There is a project called Mono project. It's an open source distribution, okay, of the CLI that targets different operating systems. We have the .NET Core 5 project by the .NET, which is also support the cross-platform version of .NET, which focus on construction of code libraries and all. The Mono project is an excellent choice if you want to build a .NET software that can run on a variety of operating systems. Okay, you can use this Mono project. Okay, fine. So this is all what we have in our first chapter, which is the philosophy of the .NET platform. As a summary, this chapter includes overview of .NET framework and its features, building blocks like CLR, CTS, CLS. We have the class libraries, the role of class libraries. Then we talk about the C# programming and its features. We talk about the assemblies, the namespace, the intermediate language, Microsoft intermediate language, platform independent nature of .NET, and the open source distributions of the .NET. Fine. So this is all what we have in this chapter number 1. Before we move to chapter number 2, I'd like to take any questions if you have from your side. Any questions, please? Any questions? Okay, the slides are in the LMS. I have taken these slides from the LMS. So in the sense, you can simply go to the CLMS and take the slides from there. Okay, you can simply download the slides from there. Okay, and you can follow with me, no worries. The slides is already with you. Right, it is in the LMS. I'm sharing my screen here whenever I hope that you can see that is the screen to see the slides and all. Right, I'm sharing the screen with you. Any other question? Okay, if no questions, we'll move ahead with chapter number 2 here. I think you can see the screen, right? Students, can you see the screen? Okay, that's great. Fine. Chapter number 2 talks about building C# application. So here we'll give you an idea about building a C# application. We're going to use Visual Studio here to write our first C# program. Okay. Chapter objectives: examine the most common integrated development environments, which is IDEs that support the C# language. Explore the tool to build the C# application on the Windows operating system and demonstrate the steps to create a console application. Building C# application on Windows operating system, we can use Visual Studio Express or Visual Studio Community or Visual Studio Professional or any higher IDE, right? The family of IDEs. So the Visual Studio Express family of IDEs are given here. You can use Express for Windows Desktop. This supports the development of console-based and the desktop graphical user interface applications. So we can use Express for Windows Desktop as an IDE to write the console-based and the desktop-based applications using C#. You can also use the Express for Windows 10. It supports development for core software target for Windows 10 universal application type that can run on multiple Microsoft devices. You can use Express for web, support development for ASP.NET Web Application, Azure cloud-based application, Microsoft applications. Then Team Foundations Server 2015 Express, which focus on providing graphical user interfaces. Okay. These are different IDEs that you can use, but for learning purpose, right? So it's very simple, is that you use the Microsoft Visual Studio just for learning purpose. That will be, that will help you to understand and to learn the C# programming. The community edition of IDE, that is Express Tools, allows you to build the .NET software that will run only on Windows OS. Okay. The Visual Studio Community Edition IDE allow you to build much wider variety of type of projects that uses larger number of .NET languages. Okay, and this also supports the building projects that can run on the Android and Apple devices. That is on mobile applications. If you are looking for mobile applications and all, you can use this Visual Studio Community Edition. Okay, Visual Studio 2015 Professional IDE you can use. Now I think you will get 2019 edition of Visual Studio, right? You can use that to build applications, right? Okay, creating the console application. So here we start with our first program in C#, how we can create one application with some simple messages like welcome message or so on. Okay, so for this you should have Visual Studio, right? You can go back and download the Visual Studio from Microsoft and can learn from there. Okay, so what we have to do is that we have to go to start the Visual Studio and select the file, new project, that we choose the Visual C# from templates, and then choose the Windows and console application and then enter the project name and just click on OK. You'll get a new project, okay, Explorer, where you can write the code, edit the code, and then there is a run button that you can press, or you can press F5 to run your program. So how that looks like, it looks like something like this, Visual Studio. Okay, now let me share with you the Visual Studio here. I will share with you the screen so that you can see the Visual Studio with me. I think you can see the screen. Yeah, this is Visual Studio 2019, what you can see on the screen. Now from here, you can create new project, right? As you can see here. So here I have this new project, and there are some old projects which are listed here. You can, clone the project. You can open the project. Okay, open some local folders if you want to open, or you can create a new project. So we'll create a new project. Once you click on this create new project, you get a new window here. So it is taking time. Yeah, as you can see here. So we're going to talk about console application, that is console app, right? Which a project for creating command line application that can run on .NET Core on Windows, Linux, and Mac. Okay, so it supports C#, Linux, Mac OS, Windows console, right? You have other options also here, right? Different options. For example, if you look at this one, Pulse the Django web project that supports Python, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and it's a web project. Okay, F sharp or F hash, Windows, Linux on console, Visual Basic, Azure Cloud. If you want to develop a cloud application on Azure, so here it is, and so on. So for our learning purpose, we use this console app, okay, where C# is supported, which can be run on Windows, Mac, and Linux, right? So in console app. So we just go on next, enter the application, the project name, right? For example, I'll give this as M109 score meeting 1, our first meeting project. Okay, you have an option here, place the solution and the project in the same directory. Okay, the solution name will be this one. Okay, can edit this. You can select this option if you want to place both in the same directory. Okay, and here it will be stored, the project location will be here, admin, source, and repos. Okay, I'll create this project. Simply click on create. There is already one project by this name, so I'll just name it like 1_1. Okay, or let me name it as session 1. Okay, great. So as you can see on the screen, we have our program, the C# program, right? where we have the using the namespace system, and the system has a class called console, and it has a method called writeLine, which will write hello world in the output screen. Okay, now here, what are the constructs we have here? We have using system, that is using the namespace, that project name, that we can use this in other programs by this name if you want to use this program. The class name is program, and you can create your own classes here that has one method called main method, right, where the program execution will start. It has a console from system, it's a class, right? You can see once I take the cursor here, you can see class system.console represent the standard input, output, and error stream for console application. This class cannot be inherited. Okay. Similarly, you can see the program is a class under the project called, or the namespace called M109. Okay. So this is my first program where console.writeLine. WriteLine is again a method. Okay, WriteLine, write the specific string value followed by current line terminator to the standard output string. Okay, so this will write the hello world on the screen. Right. So this is what our first program looks like. This fine. On the right side, you can see the solution explorer, where we have the solution explorer here that shows the dependencies, the program, right, and the main method of the program and all. It has the properties here. You can see the properties, all right, for these every program. Okay, fine. So to run this program, simply we have this run button here or F5. Okay, so I'll just run this program here to see what is our output. So this is our output screen. Okay, and let's just see what is the output. We should get the text which is there inside the WriteLine. So we have the output hello world. Okay, just press any key to exit. Okay, so this is our output hello world. Fine. Okay, so this is what our first program looks like. Fine, so we follow the same steps here. Okay, the solution explorer, when new application is created, the IDE creates a solution with a single project. Solution explorer is a tool window in the Visual Studio IDE that display the content of a solution, which includes the solutions project and each project item and all. So a solution can contain multiple projects that work all together. The project properties in the IDE, all information that is needed to build a project is exposed as properties. Okay, this property includes the application names, extensions like DLL, execution library and all. Okay, it will have the compiler options, linker option, debugger setting and all. The icon name property within the Solution Explorer is used to view and modify the properties, which over here, right? So you can see all the details here. If you want to modify or you want to view the properties of the project, you can view it here. Okay. Fine. So this is all what we have in chapter number 2 for you, as in given here. So this chapter includes the common IDE to build a C# application, a tour of major programming tools to develop the C# application, and to build a console application. So we started with a simple console application just to display a message, hello world. Okay. Now from here, you can start learning the C# programming by using Visual Studio. Now here I'm just going to display you one lab exercise. Okay, this is also available in your LMS. You can go and check the LMS and download this lab exercises. The first lab exercise to be covered after we cover this chapter 1 and 2, which we did now. We're done with it. Now what is the task in this lab exercise is that you are required to explore the IDE that you are using and to create a console project with C# language. So you are required to write a C# program that prints your IDE name and the session number of this course on the screen by using the right line, okay, of the console class. Task 1. This is the task 1. Task 2. You are required to visit the console class and this link, and then read about these methods: write method, write line, read key, read line, read method. Now how do we do that? Is just simply click on this link. It will direct you to the link where you find the console class. So this is the console class, right? So what is the console class? You can read from here. Then there are methods, there are properties in console class, there are methods in console class. So you can go through these methods. There is methods called read, right? Read key, read line. Read these three methods. What are these three and how we use these three methods? Okay. And also write method, write and write line method. Go through these write and write line and read key and read line methods. Okay. As in task 2 for this lab 1 exercise. Okay. So you have to do it by yourself, and you can discuss later in our next meeting with me about these write line, write and read key and read line and the read method. Okay, this is very important that you follow this and you read this and you discuss this. I mean, right, to learn the programming language. Okay, so this is all what we have here for today, and if you have any questions, please go ahead. Okay, let me download your attendance. Okay, done. Fine. So you're open for questions now. You can use your mic, you can use the chat box if you have any questions before we close.
Dr. Mohamed?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Walid. I have a question regarding the attendance of this class.
Yes, please.
Yes. As you know, I have a day job. I finish my day job at 2:30, so I'm not able to attend the whole class. Is there any possible way to send the link of the lecture so I can go back to the introduction or to review the whole class together?
No worries. You can find some video lectures already in the LMS. Okay. And if you want my videos, which is my class recorded sessions, that also you will get. Yeah, that also you will get, inshallah, in the LMS. Okay. I'm gonna share my recorded sessions with the BCC, and the BCC has that permission to edit the LMS page and to add my videos there, so you can access from there. Okay. In case if you don't get that, you can send me an email, and inshallah I'll provide you the links. No worries.
Okay, thank you very much.
You are most welcome, brother. Anyone else? Any question?